The movie begins in a future version of Earth. The year was 2053. At that time, Earth had become much more advanced, and every part of the planet was filled with highly developed technology. So, this extreme advancement itself seemed to bring danger to Earth. In fact, because of the excessive number of factories, the environment had become completely polluted. As a result, across the entire world, the nutrients in farmland had been destroyed. Because of that, crops could now be grown in very few places. This is mainly why a food shortage had appeared. Meanwhile, in such a situation, due to widespread poverty and hardship, the crime rate in Australia rose so much. In other words, so many people got involved in crime that all of Australia's prisons were completely filled. There was not even space to hold a single new prisoner. So, seeing such a terrible situation in the country, the Australian government, having no other option, came up with a strange plan. Since technology was the reason their country ended up in this condition, the government used technology to create a special type of box. This was actually a kind of AI box. The boxes had a lot of power, and they were fully built using advanced technology. And inside these boxes, the prisoners were locked up and then taken to a very distant island. Around that place, there was nothing but water. There was no way to escape from there. And on this uninhabited island, the prisoners had to live for years. They were even given some very strange rules to follow. And one of them was that inside these boxes, they would not be given any food. To find food, they had to search for nearby villages, and they had to depend on that to survive. Even though the island was very far from any village, still, sometimes some people would come there to wander around. That way, if any person visiting the island saw them and felt pity and gave them some food, only then would they be able to eat. In other words, until someone showed them mercy, they had to remain without food, and even if they died during that time, no one would be held responsible. And so that the prisoners could ask nearby people for food, a part of the box was slightly open, so that the prisoners could see the people around them through that opening, and through that same gap, they could reach out their hands and ask for food. And if any person felt pity for them, then through that same space, they could give them food. So in this way, many prisoners were constantly left there. But it was seen that in this way, the prisoners suffered a lot for food, because most of the time, no one gave them food. As a result, they had to spend days after days without eating. And like this, many of them eventually died of hunger. And if not, unable to bear the pain of hunger, they would end their own lives using a rope kept there. However, there were certain rules in that place, because of which, even if they wanted, they could not escape in any way. Because if they even tried to escape by mistake, they would be killed right there immediately. Then one day, another box was brought to that island. The prisoner in that box was a girl. Her name was Lori. She was prisoner number 117 there. For committing a crime, she had been sentenced to about 4 years in prison. That means she had to stay on this terrifying island for those 4 years. But whether she would be able to survive here for that long made her very afraid. So, Lori noticed that inside her box, there was a rope. In fact, every box had such a rope provided, so that prisoners could end their lives if they wanted. So, after Lori arrived there like this, several days passed by. Lori tried in many ways to ask for help for food, but it did not really help much. Because very few people came to visit here, and since there were so many prisoners, there was no guarantee of who would help whom and when. And like this, Lori, after being unable to arrange food for several days, gradually her condition became much worse. At the same time, because the box was very small in size, it was extremely difficult for her to survive there. In this way, Lori's condition reached a point where she could no longer bear the pain of hunger in any way. So then, due to extreme hunger, she started eating the flesh of her own body. At one point, she even decided that she would end her own life. But here we come to know that the box had been designed in such a way that no one could easily end their life, even if they wanted to. In fact, the rope was placed there to cause the prisoners even more suffering, because when they would not be able to end their lives, even if they wanted to, their suffering would increase even more. Meanwhile, Lori's mental condition had become so bad that she could not survive there in any way. It felt like she could barely breathe. She started looking around inside the box like a mad person. She was actually searching for something nearby that she could use to end her life. Struggling and panicking like crazy, finally she found a blade there, and she picked up the blade in her hand and without thinking, ended her life right there forever. That means Lori died right there. Then after a few days, we see two children on that island who were playing together. They had a rubber ball in their hand. While playing, the ball suddenly rolled toward the AI box and went straight and hit it. Then it is shown that inside that box, there is a girl, and she is lying there with her hands and legs tied. Meanwhile, when the ball hits her box, she regains consciousness. That means she had been unconscious until now. This girl's name was Amy. She was prisoner number 124 there. From her appearance, it was clear that she had not been there for very long. She was probably a new prisoner. So when Amy regained consciousness, she saw that she was trapped inside a very small box, and her hands and legs were tightly tied with a red rope. As she regained awareness, she untied her hands and feet. Opening a small window of the box, she saw that next to her was a vast ocean, and along with it, there were countless small boxes where, just like her, many other prisoners were being held. However, Amy had been placed right at the edge of the ocean, meaning with even a slight movement, her box could fall into the water at any moment. Seeing all this, Amy started crying like a mad person, and she kept trying to open the box again and again, and to survive, she screamed out for help. But at that moment, it is seen that a screen inside the box turns on. And on that screen, a woman can be seen. The woman here is addressing Amy and saying, "You have been punished by the court. We know that you yourself do not even know where you are right now, and what kind of prison this is. But according to our government's new rules, this is now a special prison for criminals, and this punishment has been given to you by the court itself. As a punishment for the crime you committed, you have been sent to this island for 7 years. Now, I will explain the rules of this place to you one by one. On this island, prisoners are not given any extra food. Instead, they have to arrange their own food. In this place, many people come to visit from time to time, and if the prisoners ask them for food, and if they show mercy and give them something to eat, then they can survive here by eating that. So from now on, be prepared for all of this." But after hearing this, Amy starts crying loudly and she begins to shout, "I didn't commit any crime. All of this is a lie. Why is no one believing me? I am being punished so severely for no reason." But there was no one there to hear her cries. Even the woman on the screen, as soon as she finished speaking, the screen turned off immediately. Amy then sat there alone, crying out in distress. And after some time, she became exhausted and fell asleep. After a long while, when she woke up, she felt extremely thirsty. After searching a lot, she found a container there, but there was no water left in it. She then reached her hand outside and shouted for help, asking for water, but no one could hear her screams. So then, at one point, Amy became exhausted and stopped trying. Gradually, she started to grow very weak, because like this, it was becoming impossible for her to survive here, so she began desperately searching for a way to get out of there. But whenever Amy touched the door of the box, she would get an electric shock in her hand, because these boxes were set with electric current. So as time kept passing like this, it was becoming harder and harder for Amy to survive there. Then, not too far from her box, another box could be seen, where, just like Amy, another prisoner was trapped. Her number was 128, and she was also a girl. It is seen that this girl was also struggling intensely to get out of there. She was checking every corner of the box to see if there was any way to escape. While searching like this, she accidentally pressed a button on the box, and immediately, a light turned on there. A siren started blaring, and from above, a spiked part of the box began to come down. The girl became very frightened, and she tried hard to save herself, but that spiked part kept coming down so far that, at one point, it completely tore through her entire body. As a result, the girl, screaming and covered in blood, died there in a very horrifying way. At that moment, a girl named Sally comes near Amy's box. She calls out here and there through the small window of the box. Hearing her voice, Amy wakes up. Then Sally calls her over. Sally had actually brought some food and water for Amy. Seeing her, Amy starts saying, "I am innocent. I didn't do anything. I didn't kill anyone. But why is no one believing me? Why are you punishing me so severely for no reason? Hearing all this, Sally then tells her, whether you truly committed a crime or not, no one will listen to that anymore, because your crime has already been approved by the court, and as punishment, you have been sent here. Just like you, there are thousands of prisoners trapped here. No matter how much you scream, shout, or cry out in pain, there is no way to escape from here. Only when your sentence is over will they set you free. After saying this, Sally leaves from there. But after hearing Sally's words, Amy becomes even more hopeless, and the food and water that Sally gave her, she starts eating little by little. With that small amount of food, she somehow passes several days, and she keeps feeling grateful to Sally in her mind. But after a few days, all the food runs out again. Amy once again starts struggling in hunger, but there was hardly anyone to give her food regularly. So like this, while suffering, several more days pass for Amy. During these days, she has not eaten anything. As a result, she has become so weak that she doesn't even have the strength to move. She becomes so hopeless that she, like the other prisoners, decides to end her own life. The red rope that was kept beside her, she tightly wraps it around her neck. But even then, it is not possible for her to die like that. At the very last moment, Amy cannot go through with it, because the pain of death is too terrifying. At that point, Amy starts crying and screaming there, and she keeps thinking, what did I even do to deserve such a severe punishment? The kind of punishment I am going through now, I never did anything that deserves this much suffering. Then she once again tries to convince herself that maybe this is what was written in her fate, and people can never really change their destiny, even if they want to, so she decides to quietly accept her fate. Thinking all of this, Amy becomes completely calm. Now she no longer tries to end her life or escape from there. She just lies there quietly, completely still. In this way, several more days pass. Then one day, inside the box, she finds a piece of paper. She tries to read it, but unfortunately, the language written on it is completely unknown to her, so she cannot read it at all. After some time, she reaches her hand out through the window for food, because she feels like someone might be nearby. So like this, while she was asking for help, suddenly, a ball hits her hand, which was near her box. It was the same ball that the children had rolled there while playing. Amy then picks up the ball in her hand, and, to calm her mind a little, she starts playing with it. This way, some time passes for her. Then, as time goes on, a few more days pass. One day, a drone comes to the island, and it immediately lifts Amy's box and carries it away. Then it drops the box into a deep forest and leaves. Here too, it is seen that thousands of prisoners like Amy are trapped in boxes. Now we see a prisoner inside one of the boxes there. His number was 5 and 18. He was a young boy. He had been sent here with a 5-year sentence, and he had already survived about 1,000 days under this terrible punishment. By now, he had clearly understood that trying to escape from here was useless. There was no way he could get out of this place. Instead, if he made any mistake, his punishment would be increased even more. Because of this, he accepted everything and kept struggling to survive inside this small box. Then we see Amy again. Here, it is shown that a girl named Mary comes near Amy's box. Mary then asks Amy, "So, how long have you been sent here for?" Amy then tells her, "Here, I have been sentenced to 7 years as punishment. Maybe I will have to spend these 7 years here like this." Amy then asks Mary what she is doing here. Mary then tells her that she comes here quite often. She regularly walks around and looks at each box there and tries to talk with the prisoners and learn about the incidents that happened to them. This has now become a kind of hobby for her. By hearing the painful stories of everyone's lives, she feels a lot of inspiration in her mind, and she feels a great deal of sympathy for every prisoner trapped here. If she had the power, she would free every one of them. Then Mary asks Amy, "Have you ever heard of William Shakespeare? Have you read any of his books?" Amy then says no. After that, Mary gives her a book by William Shakespeare so that she can pass some time by reading it. But Amy cannot take the book from her because according to the rules of the AI box, no books were allowed there. And around the entire box, CCTV cameras were installed. Because of this, whatever happened there could be seen by the law enforcement authority. So if Amy broke the rules and took the book from Mary, her punishment could be doubled. And actually, The main reason she was brought to the forest was because she had been passing time playing with the ball she had found on the island. Thinking about all of this, Amy returns the book to Mary. Mary then reads a part of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet to Amy. Amy listens to the story very carefully, and it makes her feel a lot better. In her mind, Amy starts thinking that if she ever gets a chance to leave this place, she will definitely read that book. After talking like this for a while, Mary leaves from there. Before leaving, she gives Amy some food and water and promises that she will come back again after a few days to see her. Meanwhile, after Mary leaves, Amy starts to feel something a little strange, because after a long time, she was finally able to talk to someone for so long. So she started to feel a strange sense of comfort in her heart. After a while, Amy begins eating from the food packet that Mary had given her. But suddenly, she notices that there is a very small book inside. The book was hidden in such a way inside the packet that no one from the outside could notice it. Amy then hides behind the CCTV camera and carefully opens the book in a way so that it cannot be captured on camera at all. She sees that it is the same Romeo and Juliet book written by Shakespeare, which Mary had just told her about. Seeing this, Amy becomes extremely happy. Then she carefully hides the book away from the camera's view, and whenever she gets the chance, she secretly reads the book while lying down. So, the water that Mary had given her, one day Amy uses that water to clean her body. After being trapped for so long in such a dirty and damp environment, her whole body had developed sores and wounds. Amy carefully cleans those wounded areas so that there is no risk of infection. Then she throws the remaining water outside the AI box by extending her hand and pouring it from the container. Because the water had become dirty, and since she had used a piece of cloth to clean her wounds and used water from that same container, the water was no longer suitable for use. But wasting water was also against the rules of the AI box. According to the rules here, no kind of food or water, even in small amounts, was allowed to be wasted. However, Amy made this mistake without realizing it. As a result, the entire incident was recorded on the CCTV camera, and the authorities controlling the box noticed it. Now, as punishment for her mistake, they decide to take her back to the edge of the sea again. Then, after some time, a drone arrives there. The drone then carries Amy's box, once again, to the edge of the sea. But this time, she is dropped in a very isolated place where hardly any people come or go. On the other hand, we see Mary. Mary, as she had promised, is searching for Amy in the jungle today. But even after checking many boxes, she cannot find Amy in any of them. And like this, while searching for Amy, she eventually comes to the edge of the sea, because she knew that prisoners were kept here as well. Mary then checks each and every box and finally finds Amy again, because she had promised that she would come back to her. Seeing this, Amy feels a sense of relief, but she was so exhausted that she didn't have the strength to even talk to Mary. Mary then asks Amy, "What exactly did you do that they moved you from the jungle to this isolated island again?" Amy then explains everything to her. She says, "I was cleaning the wounds on my body and accidentally threw away some water outside. That's why they brought me back here again, because I broke the rules of the AI box." Hearing all this, Mary feels deeply saddened. She starts thinking about how helpless the prisoners inside the AI boxes really are. Not only are they not given any food at all, but even after somehow managing food and water, they are not allowed to use it the way they want. Amy then, in a very weak voice, asks her a question. She says, "Why did you come here to look for me? What exactly is your purpose?" Mary then tells her, "I feel really bad for the prisoners who are trapped here. There are thousands of people like you locked up in this place. There are even many people here who didn't commit any crime at all, but they were brought here based on false accusations. Many prisoners like you die here every day because they don't get any food. It really hurts me to see that. That's why I go around and visit the prisoners and listen to their stories, and at the same time, I try to give them some food as much as I can. Of course, it's not possible for me to feed everyone, so I help whoever I can by giving them food." Hearing all this from Mary, Amy feels much better. It makes her feel that there are still good people in this world. Amy then says to Mary, "You know, I had a little sister just like you, but she passed away a long time ago. That's why, whenever I see you, she reminds me of her." Hearing this, Mary feels even more sad for Amy. Then after a while, like the other days, Mary gives Amy some food and water and leaves from there, and Amy becomes alone again. Now she only has two things with her, that small rubber ball and the little book that Mary gave her. Sometimes Amy passes time by looking at the ball, and sometimes she secretly tries to read the book that Mary gave her. Every time she reads it in such a way that the camera cannot capture it at all. Then, like this, several more days pass. After some days, a drone comes again and leaves her box in the jungle. Amy understands that being taken to the jungle might mean her punishment has been reduced a little, because most people come to visit here, and on that isolated island, people rarely come. Maybe this is how the prisoner's punishment is slightly reduced, and if they make any mistake, they are sent back again to that isolated island. After coming to this jungle, several more days pass for Amy, but now no one comes to see her anymore. She doesn't even see any people around her. The food and water that Mary had given her earlier are already finished, and now, slowly, her hunger keeps increasing. Due to intense hunger and thirst, she becomes weaker day by day. But one day, suddenly, she sees that a man has come near her box. The man looked a bit older. He comes toward Amy while eating an apple. Seeing him, Amy comes near the window of the box, and watching him eat the apple makes her hunger grow even stronger. She then, in a very desperate voice, asks the man for the apple and says that she hasn't eaten for many days. But the man feels no sympathy at all. Instead of giving her the apple, he says, "You must have committed some terrible crime to be punished like this. So why should I give you my food? Whatever is happening to you is absolutely right. People like you deserve this kind of punishment. Now suffer the consequences of your sins." But Amy was so extremely hungry that she kept begging him for the apple again and again. The man then says, "I can give you the apple, but there is one condition. Only if you agree to my condition will I give it to you." Hearing this, Amy agrees without even listening to the condition. She says she is ready to accept anything. The man then tells her, "If you want the apple, you have to make me happy. Only if you can make me happy will I give it to you." Saying this, he looks at Amy with a very disturbing and inappropriate gaze. Meanwhile, everything was being recorded on the CCTV cameras, and having no other option, the starving Amy agrees to accept the man's disgusting condition. She tries to move her body as close as possible toward him through the window, but just as the man is about to touch her, a drone suddenly appears from above and starts firing multiple bullets at him. Within moments, the man's body falls to the ground, completely torn apart, and he dies right there. Amy becomes terrified. One of the bullets comes through the box window and hits Amy in the leg. In intense pain, she starts to cry out. She was bleeding heavily, but at that moment, she wasn't really paying attention to it. She was so desperate for food that she had no awareness of anything else. After some time, when the drone leaves, Amy reaches her hand out through the box window and starts feeling around on the ground. After searching, she finally finds the apple in her hand, the same one the man had. This gives Amy a sense of relief, and without wasting a single moment, she starts eating the apple. But after taking just a few bites, she feels something very strange in her mouth. She then looks at the apple and realizes that it was completely rotten. It was even filled with small worms inside. Seeing this, she immediately throws the apple away. Soon, her body starts feeling very sick. Then she becomes extremely exhausted and lies down right there. She was already very weak from not eating for so many days, and now, on top of that, she had been shot in the leg. In severe pain, Amy slowly falls asleep while groaning. After some time, a loud siren suddenly starts blaring with a red warning signal. The sound of the siren wakes Amy up. Then, the screen inside the box turns on again. Just like the first day, a woman appears on the screen. The woman says to Amy, "You agreed to that man's inappropriate offer for food. This is completely against the rules of the AI box, and for breaking this rule, you will now be punished. As punishment, for the next 7 days, you will not be allowed to sleep. And if you break any more rules after this, you will not be given another chance. As punishment, you will be executed." As soon as these words are finished, the screen turns off again. Amy stares helplessly. Now she has no choice but to accept all these punishments. Her eyes are filled with extreme exhaustion and sleep. But in this condition, she is not allowed to sleep at all. With great difficulty, she somehow keeps her eyes open. But toward dawn, she feels an overwhelming urge to sleep. Her eyes start to close slightly. At that very moment, a loud siren starts blaring. The sound of the siren was so intense that Amy could not hear anything else. She feels extremely uncomfortable. Unable to tolerate the loud noise, she covers her ears and starts screaming. But this time, the siren does not stop at all. In fact, this was her punishment for letting her eyes close. After not just one, but several hours, the siren finally stops on its own. But by then, Amy's condition had become very bad. While enduring all of this, Amy became extremely weak. She had no strength left to survive, but she could not fall asleep under any circumstances, because if she fell asleep, she would die. So, to make sure she wouldn't fall asleep here, she started hitting her head against the wall of the box while standing. As a result, at one point, blood started coming out of her head, but even then, she kept doing it. After continuously hitting her head for a long time, she began to hallucinate. She started behaving completely like a mad person. In front of her, she saw a girl sitting on a sofa, which was completely her imagination. She was actually seeing herself. In her imagination, she was dressed just like before, wearing elegant and expensive clothes. In that imagined state, she began talking to herself, and just like this, as she kept going, 7 days passed. Finally, her terrible punishment came to an end. When she realized that 7 days had passed, without wasting even a single moment, she fell asleep right there. And like this, she spent several days just sleeping. Then suddenly, one day, a loud noise from outside woke her up. She ran to the window and looked outside, and what did she see? She saw colorful fireworks lighting up the sky. The whole sky was filled with light. She could hear people all around cheering loudly. Seeing all this, she realized that the new year had begun. At that moment, the AI box screen informed her that today was the first day of the new year. Amy kept staring at the fireworks in the sky. She quietly wished herself a happy new year. This new year was the most terrifying time of her life. Maybe for the first time, there was no smile on her face during the new year. Every year, she used to spend that day having fun with her loved one. But now she only had loneliness and extreme hunger with her. Amy kept staring at the sky, thinking about all these things. After that, 2 more days passed, but Amy still had no food at all. She lay there completely exhausted. One day, an elderly woman came near the window of her box. The woman came and said to her with great annoyance, "I was once a prisoner here too. I was kept here for 15 years. I know how painful this life is. Surviving here is not easy at all. It is much easier to die than to spend days and days here. So I want to give you some advice. End your life. Only then will you be free from this suffering." After saying this, she threw a blade toward Amy and left. Amy kept thinking about the woman's word. After the woman left, Amy picked up the blade with her own hand. She kept staring at the blade for a long time. At one point, she tried to cut the veins in her hand with the blade, but even after trying many times, she could not do it. At that moment, that girl named Mary came to her again. After a long time, seeing Mary again made Amy very happy. Amy could not believe that it was really Mary. She thought she was hallucinating. Mary came closer and tried to talk to her. Amy looked at her and tried to understand whether Mary had really come to see her. At that moment, Mary placed her hand on Amy's hand and reassured her. She told her that she had really come. This was not her hallucination. Amy became very happy. Seeing her, Mary understood that she was extremely exhausted. She had completely lost her will to live. Mary then started talking to her. Once again, she told her a story from one of Shakespeare's books. It was a very inspiring story. Hearing this story, Amy became very inspired. She listened to Mary very attentively. After a long time, she felt a strange sense of peace in her heart. She found a little hope to live again. After talking for a while like this, Mary, as always, gave Amy some food and water and left. After that, many more days passed. During those days, Amy noticed that her stomach was slowly getting bigger. She realized that she was pregnant. The elderly man who had come to her while eating an apple that day was the reason for her condition today. The memories of that day began to flash before Amy's eyes. And because of everything that had happened, she was completely broken. She couldn't understand what she should do now. But she felt a deep attachment to the child growing inside her. She was terrified that if the AI box authorities found out about this, what they might do to her baby. Would they kill the child, or would the baby have to suffer the same terrifying punishments and hunger inside this box just like her? Thinking about all this, she was slowly going insane. Her days passed in deep despair like this. She became so devastated that she couldn't even think properly anymore. Eventually, she left everything to fate. One day, she sat quietly, leaning against the wall of the box in complete hopelessness. At that moment, Mary came to see her. When Mary saw that Amy was pregnant, she felt extremely heartbroken. Then a dangerous idea came into her mind. She decided that somehow she would get Amy out of this place. Amy also begged her many times to do something for her. She told Mary, "Either take me out of here somehow, or at least make arrangements to take care of my baby." She asked, "After my child is born, will you take responsibility for it?" But Mary didn't say anything about it. Later that night, Mary came back to Amy again. She came to free her from this prison. As soon as she arrived, Mary tried many times to unlock the AI box, but it was impossible. Then she decided to break the box instead. But the moment she tried to break it, a loud siren started blaring and red lights began flashing. Realizing the situation was getting dangerous, Amy told Mary to run away as fast as possible. Following her words, Mary didn't waste a second and immediately left. And as soon as she left, the siren and red lights stopped. Amy became even more terrified. She started thinking about what kind of worse punishment might be waiting for her because of this. But fortunately, she wasn't given any punishment for it. Then, about a week passed. But during that time, Mary didn't come to see Amy even once. Amy kept waiting for her every day, believing that Mary would definitely come back. But just like that, almost 6 months went by. Then one day, suddenly, a man appeared near Amy's box again. The man seemed a bit psychotic. Seeing him, Amy became very scared. She remembered what had happened months ago, when that old man came to her while eating an apple. She started panicking, thinking, what if something like that happens again? What will I do then? The man called her over. With her weak and exhausted body, Amy slowly moved toward the window of the box. The man then smiled at her and asked gently, "Do you want to get out of here? Do you want me to free you from this terrible punishment? I have the easiest way to give you freedom." Hearing this, Amy stayed completely silent. She couldn't figure out what the man actually wanted, but deep inside, she felt a small sense of hope. Just then, the man gestured with his hand and showed Amy another AI box like hers. That box was burning intensely in flame. Amy realized that the man had set the box on fire, so that the prisoner inside would die within a short time. By freedom, the man actually meant death. Then Amy looked at the man and saw that he was holding a lighter in his hand. Seeing this, she became extremely frightened. She quickly begged him to leave. Hearing her, the man laughed for a long time. Then after a while, he quietly walked away. After that, more days passed like this. Time kept going by. One day, Amy suddenly started feeling severe pain in her stomach. She writhed in agony. Her labor pain had begun, but there was no one beside her to help. Enduring unbearable pain and struggling on her own, she finally gave birth to a baby. Holding her baby in her arms, she forgot all her pain for a moment. Like any other mother, she held her child close to her chest with love and care. But her happiness didn't last long. The AI box sensors detected that there was someone else inside besides her. At that moment, the screen turned on again, and the same woman appeared and gave her a warning. When the authorities saw that there was a baby in her arms, they released a kind of gas inside the box. Because of the gas, Amy lost consciousness. But even then, she was holding her baby tightly against her chest. When Amy regained consciousness, she saw many injury marks on her body. She realized that she had been beaten while she was unconscious. But without paying attention to her own condition, she immediately started looking for her baby. She searched everywhere but couldn't find the baby. In reality, the authorities had taken her child away. Amy was completely devastated. She started crying and screaming loudly, desperately begging to get her baby back. She cried out like a mad person. But even after all that, it made no difference. Meanwhile, for breaking the box rules by giving birth to a baby, she was punished again and placed near the edge of the sea. This time, she was kept even closer to the shoreline. One day, a heavy storm hit the area. With the rain, strong ocean waves began entering her box. Slowly, the water level inside the box started rising. Before long, so much water filled the box that it became very difficult for Amy to breathe. She was almost drowning. She had no way to stop the water from coming in. As the water kept rising, it eventually reached the sensor inside the box and damaged it. The authorities noticed that the sensor in Amy's box had stopped working. They were no longer receiving any updates from it. They assumed that Amy had somehow destroyed the sensor herself. Because of this, they became even more furious with her. After she had broken the rules so many times at this point, the government of that country gave an order. An order was given to locate her AI box and kill her. Following this order, a drone started searching the entire island for Amy's box. Eventually, they found it. According to the command, the drone picked up the box and began heading toward a designated location. Just then, lightning struck in the sky, and that lightning hit the drone directly. As a result, the drone was completely destroyed in midair, and Amy's AI box fell straight into the ocean. Because of the impact, the box was partially damaged. In the next scene, 3 small children were playing near the seashore. Suddenly, all of them stopped and looked toward the ocean. They saw a box floating near the shore, and right beside it, a girl lying on the ground. It turned out that the girl was none other than Amy, but the children got scared when they saw her and ran away. They thought she was dead. Slowly, with an extremely weak body, Amy opened her eyes. She looked around with a helpless expression. For a long time, she couldn't even understand what had happened to her all these days. But as she looked around, she realized that there were no AI boxes nearby anymore. Instead, she saw a beautiful island. A calm and peaceful breeze was blowing. It felt like life was returning to her again. She realized that after so much suffering, she was finally free. There was no limit to her happiness. After enduring so much pain, torture, and a terrifying struggle, she had finally escaped from this nightmare. With an extremely exhausted face, a faint smile appeared on her lips. After going through so much pain, torture, and despair, she had fought with herself and managed to survive. After being trapped in suffering for so many days, today, she was finally free. Now, she could return to her old life again. And with such a beautiful ending, the story comes to an end here.